What's going on YouTube? Welcome to the video. So today I'm going to replace the head unit in my 86 with the new Kenwood head unit that's built for the 86, so hopefully it shouldn't be too hard, and if that's something you're interested in seeing, then stick around because we're going to go do that now. So upon first inspection, there was a bit going on there that I wasn't too sure of, and I sort of started filming it and realised that while I was filming I was basically going to be talking about things that I didn't really know what I was talking about until I got right into it and figured it out, sort of thing. So the instruction manual does kind of help a little bit, just to sort of tell you what cables are for what purpose essentially, but because this head unit, the Kenwood, is designed for the 86. The wiring harness is essentially plug and play. There's a few things that I've noted now that are missing that I need in order to connect certain things, and I'll jump in there now and I'll show you what I mean. So this is the head unit that I went for. It's the Kenwood DDX918WS, I think is the product code. And it was, I thought it was going to be a bit more straightforward than it is, but I guess if you're looking at this and you're doing the install, once I explain these things, it will make it a little bit easier. And the reason being is there's a few things here that aren't necessarily included, such as this from the head unit is for the antenna. This plug here, which comes off the back of the OEM head unit, is the antenna. So you don't have to be a technician to figure out that they're not going to fit, because there's an adapter you need to buy to go from this to this, which I don't have and it doesn't come with, and I wasn't aware that I needed. So never mind, I can get away with not having radio. I don't really listen to it anyway. That is a reverse power for, it's like an interruption cable for your reverse camera if you've got one. That's the positive and negative for said reverse camera. There's a couple of these video cables that I don't have because I don't have any cables, or head unit, headrest DVD players and whatnot. So if you don't know, sorry, just to jump back a little bit, if you don't know how to take out the trimmings from here, it's just pop them out. There's 4 screws which are in here on your OEM one. Undo all those 4 bolts, they're 10mm bolts. Take off this bracket on both sides and fix it to the new head unit. That's basically as easy as that is. That's really straightforward stuff. Now this cable, which comes from the back of here, this wiring loom, so that's the wiring loom that it comes with, the big like 24 pin or something, and that connects directly into the 2 big cables off the back of your OEM unit. This one here is just sort of sitting there loose, which I've grounded at the back there because that is the parking brake sensor. So even though you wouldn't think that you would need it, if you don't have that parking brake grounded, then you will have no CarPlay functions. The CarPlay won't work for whatever reason, so that does need to be grounded. Whether you ground it where I have on the metal pillar at the back there, or you tap into one of the ground wires on the wiring loom, it's up to you. There's these 2 USBs there, which essentially you just plug in a connector, which I've run into the glove box through there, into the glove box. That black one is for Apple, which I'm just going to use for a charging micro USB to charge things, and the other grey one is for Android. So because I use the Pixel, I've run that through there. And the reason I've done that is because I'm going to have this coming out the bottom of here, because I have like a magnetic mount for my phone, and my phone will mount here and I can just plug it straight in rather than running it out of the glove box and whatnot. I'm just going to run it through the bottom of that fascia so that will work fine. But other than that, everything else is pretty much plug and play. Like the GPS has its own little GPS antenna, which I've heard is fine to just chuck in under here. Now I have this subwoofer, which is it's meant to be an under seat subwoofer, but that is a pretty thick sub and it's not fitting under my seats because I have the heated seats. So I think because of all the extra stuff under the seats, it's not going to fit under there, so I'm just going to put it behind the seat. And you've probably just noticed that I've already gone through and ran all the power which comes in through the firewall under there. I wasn't going to film that purely because that isn't a very exciting process. It's very tedious. I'll go through the front in the engine bay and show you where I've plugged it in. Sorry, attached it to the battery and then come through the firewall. And then we can go ahead and screw all this back together and give you a look at what it looks like, and you probably won't get the gist of how it sounds through this microphone, but we'll give it a test run anyway. Alright, so that's the big power cable for the amp, for the sub, which comes through into an included fuse and then goes back out through the firewall, which is down there. I don't know if you're really going to be able to see it very well. The firewall is down there and it comes out in the passenger footwell. And believe me when I tell you, you're going to have a terrible time getting that cable through there. I ended up using, it was like a plastic panel popper, like a straight one, which had a kind of triangle point on the end, and I attached the power cable to one end of it with some tape and then pushed the plastic, quite thick plastic panel popper through the firewall, so I was able to grab it and basically pull it through one end. And there was one thing I did forget to mention actually. So this cable here is for your subwoofer into the back of the head unit. So it's labelled at the back there, SW for subwoofer, and I've just run it through the back here, out down behind the glove box. It's quite easy to run and it comes down the side of the seat and is in the back here somewhere, I think. There we go. And that will run into here. So also, apart from having your positive and negative into the amp, you've got this remote, and there should be a similarly labelled Peacon, which you run to the remote on the amp or the sub, if it's a amp with a sub built in, or if it's just a normal amp, it'll still be labelled the same, which is REM. So what that actually does is it tells the amplifier that when you switch the car off, it tells the amplifier that the car's been switched off and turns the amp off, so the amp's not constantly draining power from your battery and remaining on. So just make sure that the power turns off on the amp. Yeah. Alright, so there was these two cables as well. I think this silver cable, I can't remember entirely, but I think that might have been the GPS from the old unit. This one here is the power for and the connection for the USBs that are down there. Again, to hook these up, you need a adapter that it doesn't come with. So never mind. I mean, you've got two more anyway. They're just going to be in the glove box. What else was there? I think that was just about it for connecting it. I mean, my video in terms of wiring it up and stuff probably isn't going to be the best one to watch, because I kind of figured it out as I went. There's people like Carbon Sound Systems on YouTube that do a full in-depth connection guide, which I'd probably recommend that you watch if you're getting stuck. But this was just basically showing you what I'm up to and what it looks like and my thoughts on it. So I'm going to put it all back together now, hook up this sub and move on. is, all in. It's a nice looking unit, and obviously it fits perfectly because it's made for that spot. Now my phone just clips onto there, and the wire from out the bottom, plug it straight in. The sub at the back on the seat, hopefully it'll be alright there, can't imagine why it wouldn't be. Now we should, this has got Android Auto, I think it's called. It's like the Apple CarPlay but the Android version. Agree. Android Auto. Yeah, mad. Need some decent shoes. Let me close this door. Oh yeah, sub's working. Nice. That sounds really good actually. For a small sub. How do we get out of there? There we go. Let's pause that for now. So that's it. All done. No signal on the nav for some reason. So there we go, that's pretty much it. I was thinking about doing another video on my car and how I sort of take care of it, how I clean it, because it's pretty filthy at the moment. I usually wash it every week, but it needs a wash now, and it's been about 6 months since I clay barred and polished the car as well, which I do every 6 months. So I was thinking about doing a video on how I do that, so I might film that now since I'm going to wash the car and release that when I'm finished with this video as well. So stick around if you want to see that. Any comments, suggestions, leave them down below as always, and stick around for some B-roll. Peace out.